Okay, welcome to Shabil Uganda e-learning, and my name is Nelson Swamba. This is my telephone number. This is our email. That is elearning@shabil.net. And today's video we are going to be looking at number patterns. That simply involves sequences. Okay, it deals with handling out sequences. But before we handle all this, we should be able to know what are these numbers and what are these various categories of these number patterns for us to be able to handle that. We are now going to be looking at the different kinds of numbers by types. We shall be able to define the different categories of these numbers, and to understand if they talk about whole numbers, they talk about natural numbers, when they talk about prime numbers, when they talk about factor numbers, when they talk about even odd numbers, we shall be able to handle and see how do they look like and their basis. Okay, so let's get started as we hover all about that as our topic, number sequences, how we can solve out these number sequences. Alright, so we have the various categories of numbers or the types of numbers, and these types of numbers shall be starting with whole numbers. They are all over and they are very many. Okay, so we have what we call whole numbers. Shall start with what we call whole numbers. What are these whole numbers? These whole numbers, for you to be able to understand whole numbers, in mathematics, the whole numbers are numbers that start from 0 up to infinity. Okay, they start from 0 up to what? Up to infinity. Then here we have given you an example of these whole numbers. We have a 0, we have a 2, we have a 3, we have a 4, we have a 5. Our next whole number will be 7, 9. Okay, so those are our whole numbers. Then we also have what we call counting numbers. Okay, so these counting numbers, their examples are here. We have counting numbers, they start from 1, then 2, up to what? Up to infinity. Then we also have what we call odd numbers. Okay, in these odd numbers, we are saying they are numbers that give a remainder when divided by 2. So when you divide any number, and it gives out a remainder. When you divide these odd numbers of us, or when you divide a number and it gives a remainder, when you divide it by 2, not any number, but by 2, when you divide it, it gives out a remainder. Okay, so we have examples. We have a 0, we have a 2, we have a 4, we have a 3, we have a 6, we have 8. So when you divide these numbers by 2, we shall be able to get our remainder. Okay, because we said that these numbers they give a remainder when divided by what? By 2. These are the one. We have a what? We have a 1. We have a 3, a 5. Then these are also odd numbers. Okay, even numbers. So they are saying that these even numbers that are these are numbers that are exactly divisible by 2. So that simply means that when these numbers you divide them by 2, they don't even leave out what we call a remainder. So that's how we can really name and say these are what? These are even numbers. So we also have what we call prime numbers. So in these prime numbers, they are saying these are numbers with more than 2 factors. Prime numbers, they are numbers with more than what? More than 2 factors. In the videos that we are going to be making, or these lessons, we shall also be able to look at what are these factor numbers. So here it gives us a basis of the factor numbers. They are numbers with more than 2 what? More than 2 factors. Okay, so we shall explain that in the next lesson, or in this lesson as we go ahead. Then we also have what we call composite numbers. So in these composite numbers, they are saying they are numbers with more than 2 factors, e.g. we have a 4, we have a 8, we have a 9, Okay, so we also have what we call square numbers, and they are saying these square numbers are got by multiplying a number by itself. You multiply that number by itself, then it gives you what? It gives you a number. So those are square what? Square numbers. Then we also have what we call cube numbers. These are numbers got by multiplying the same number thrice. You multiply the same number 3 times, okay? So you'll be able to get what? You'll be able to get what we call a cube number. Then finally we have what we call triangular numbers. These are numbers got by adding a consecutive counting number. You get a consecutive counting number. When they talk about a consecutive, the numbers that are following one another, okay? So like here we have a 3, we have a 1, we have a 3, 6. So when you add our 1 plus a 2, which is a number that follows 1, shall have a 3. When you add also a 3 plus another number, we find out that you add a variety of all these consecutive numbers to get these numbers, okay? So these numbers forms out what we call a sequence. They can say find the missing number in the sequences. So that simply means that they do based on these categories of numbers for you to get the correct answer. Okay, so let's get started with now some of our numbers. We shall not go ahead and give out some of these examples and the sequences. We are able to look at them in some other topics behind. So here we shall totally now come back to what we call factor numbers or factors. How do we identify that this is a factor number? Okay, so for us to be able to identify that this is a factor number, like you have, they are telling us to say list down all the factors of 24. Okay, so this simply means that our 24 here is a factor what? Is a factor number. So how do we get the factors of what? The factors of 24. How do we get the factors of 24? So for us to be able to get the factors of 24, we shall get those numbers when multiplied. They give us what? They give us 24. For example, we start with our 1. We say our 1 times 24. We shall be able to get what? 24. So when we say 2 times 12, we still get 24. 3 times 8, we still get 24. Then 4 times 6, we still get what? 24. So that simply means that any number that is multiplied by another to get 24 will be considered to be our factors of 24. So we get all those numbers from 1, 2, 3, then 12, 8, 6, for those numbers to be what? The factors of what? The factors of 12. So that is how we shall be now solving these numbers concerning factors, concerning sequences, concerning prime, as we have been able to mention them in the lesson. So for this, as we look ahead to look at the numbers or questions concerning factors, we shall be able to solve in our next video. All right, so for this I do say thank you very much. God bless you. Be able to subscribe, check out on our playlist, and comment for you to get some more upcoming lesson. Stay blessed.